All right, welcome to the 13th installment, I think, of the AVC show. I'm none other than your hopefully beloved host, Angry Vegan Cyclist. And, yeah, I guess here's another week. I'm kind of tired. Hopefully, I don't stutter and stammer too much in this show, but we will see. Still no sponsors. Not really finding too much for Hater Hour, and I'm continually less and less involved in the server, which I understand. And I don't know. I've got a lot of. I have a tendency to spread myself thin, and I have a bunch of side projects that I'm entertaining in addition to this show. But I still intend to keep on with this show because I don't really give myself time to look at the news because most of the time it's just kind of a waste. It's journalism's just an entertainment business, and there's little to learn in the majority of the news you see. However, every now and then, especially when after you find something that, well, I guess after I find something that I might be able to derive utility out of, it's good to continually learn, relearn, and reinforce the principles that I personally have figured out and understood from the natural world. And I guess there's a small number of people who are actually willing to sit down and sit on their hands for the most of the show that I present to my lovely audience before me. So, in any case, I will continue doing it, but of course, adjust your expectations accordingly. So, with all that out of the way, I guess we will get started on the topics. It's just me today. And so what? Anywho. Hold on, I need to add another audio source. This is kind of stupid. Come on, OBS. Ah, shit, the intro music wasn't playing. Oh, fuck. Oh, well. I guess it's not important. Sorry, there is no intro music this time for anyone who likes that. Okay, so quite the headline here, isn't it? I'm sure it was. It tried. It really tried. But I don't think anyone's going to convince us that Kid Rock's violent reaction to Bud Light's trans partnership really went viral. So I guess before we begin, I've heard rumors that a lot of the news sources try to spin. I don't know. For example, let's say like for as you might have known, the YouTube like to dislike ratio has been mostly disabled for no, actually completely disabled for absolutely everybody. Where you could there's plugins you could install into your browser to reveal the dislike count on every YouTube video that you watch, and that's probably safe to say that it's politically motivated. Probably something strongly to do with the very widespread disapproval of the United States President Joe Biden. To what extent, I probably shall not disclose, and you could probably figure out what I am implying here. Anyway, so of course that's part of the propaganda game, is to obfuscate on how popular or dispopular something is, or excuse me, unpopular something might actually be. Because, of course, the opinion of the majority of people are easily swayed by something as frivolous as the fact that other people think or do not think so. And that is what you call a That is what you call sheep behavior, and this is behavior mostly demonstrated by people you might have heard as NPCs. So people, and of course, the journalists know how important the fucking headline is, and then people see this. Kid Rock is talking shit about trans people, and they're talking shit about Bud Light's partnership standing with transgender rights, and it's going viral. Because of course they're not very critical people, and I guess it's my job to produce a counterweight effect to, or a counter argument to whatever you might see in the news. So anyway, now with that clarified, let's get started. So here's the caption for Kid Rock. I don't know what the hell it is. I don't listen to this kind of fucking music. Kid Rock speaks out on stage at 31st Annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony at Barclays Center of Brooklyn at April 8th, 2016 in New York City. Okay, so they're using a outdated image that is what, almost 6 years old? 7? Actually, just about 7 years old. Yeah, amazing. Renewable bottles of Bud Light during the 30th annual GLAAD, gay, lesbian, and something. It's basically like a LGBT rights advocacy group. Media Awards New York at New York Hilton Midtown on May 4th, 2019. Registered trademark of Dylan Mulvaney poses at the P-Flag 50th anniversary gala at the New York Marriott Marquis on March 3rd, 2023 in New York City. Rock protested Bud Light supporting Mulvaney as she documented her gender transition. It's just pathetic watching them try. It's just words are violence, apparently. Oh, right. I'm sorry. I forgot that word. This is another reason why you can't trust the fucking data talking about like violence against XYZ protected group or whatever the fuck. So like, if you redefine words to mean violence, then now words going to classify aren't going to statistically register as violence in, for example, a meta-analysis of crime statistics. Yeah, so and everyone is capitalizing on this because we as the Western societies have established that being the most pathetic victim is the means to assert dominance. So, yeah, the Civil Rights Acts are definitely a very, very good example of good intentions paving the road to hell. And we are on that road right now as we speak. So, first paragraph of this article states, Kid Rock had a very violent response following Bud Light's collaboration with the transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. But trans activists told him it was time he, quote, he transitioned to adult rock by growing the fuck up. That's not a bad comeback. I will give the transgenders that. Adult rock. Mulvaney, who has risen to fame on TikTok with her Day 365 of Girlhood video series, revealed on Sunday to her Instagram followers that Bud Light had sent her a personalized can with her face on it to commemorate a year since she began her gender transition. 1 year and you end up looking like this? Nah, something that doesn't add up. Either that, or I guess Mulvaney was just a genetically, naturally very feminine man, and then 1 year, and then voila, presto. I mean, well, I don't know, whatever. The partnership has drawn condemnation from some social media users, prompting calls for a boycott of Bud Light and its parent company, Anheuser-Busch. Chocolate makers Hershey's faced a similar response to a Canadian ad campaign for International Women's Day in February that included a transgender rights activist. Okay, let's for some context. Hershey, she, her, ad. Okay. Okay, yeah. This is just classic ESG money grabbing. Classic ESG cash grab. Does this surprise you? She, her. Okay, where's the transgender model? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, just take a moment to just appreciate the fact that ESG's fucking everywhere. Everyone's trying to cash in on ESG. Apparently, there's just that much money in there, plus the praise, which I guess is a false idea of a false incentive of a false PR incentive to. It seems like the jury's kind of out of it. No. I personally don't think that most customers give a shit about the fucking political statements of non-political products. And again, ESG money. Follow the money, right? When people's behavior or company's behavior doesn't make sense, you follow the money. So just you don't even have to be precise in your math. Just spitball. Just estimate. How much fucking money does it take to move Hershey, the Hershey company? Like how big is what is the size of the Hershey company? Look how fucking big this shit is. Revenue $8 billion, a multi-billion-dollar company. What does it take to move the entire marketing department of a multi-billion-dollar company? That is the fucking power and omnipresence of ESG money in the Western society. Western societies, plural, pardon me. So clearly same thing is going on here with Bud Light. I mean, otherwise why the hell would you spend all the money to even just spend the ink to print onto these Bud Light bottle can things? The rainbow colors to, I don't know, shill for LGBT activist groups. Why does the average beer drinker fucking care about like what color the beer can is? Like clearly there's a marketing there's again, so like let's say if I'm making anime and for some reason I decided to imagine that fucking crossover. I want Bud Light to put my anime characters on their cans as a form of marketing. Well, Bud Light was Bud Light or any other similar company would say, okay, Mr. AVC, we could put your characters on there, but we would like a kickback because you're basically using our cans as a billboard. So, how much money would that be? Just think about that for a few seconds before I continue. Yeah, okay. Anyway. Yeah. Response to the row over transgender brand ambassadors is symbolic of a wider debate about the inclusion of transgender women in female issues and spaces, just like the sports problems we talked about last week. Some say transgender women should be treated the same as other women, whereas others would say that they are different and that hard-won women's rights must be protected. TERFs. Yeah. Rock, given name Robert James Ritchie, posted a video to his social media accounts, which started with him standing with his back to the camera wearing a baseball cap backwards, which read, MAGA, Make America Great Again. When he turned around to look at the camera, Rock 52 had a message for the beer brand. Quote, Grandpa is feeling a little frisky today. Let me tell you as clear and concise as possible, the rapper said as the shot widened to reveal Rock holding an assault rifle. Rock then cocked the gun and began shooting a rapid fire of bullets at several cases of Bud Light, which had been placed on top of a table by a river. He shot at the cases of beer until they burst open and liquid poured out of them before he turned back to the camera, where he raised his middle finger. Quote, fuck Bud Light and fuck Anheuser-Busch, Rock shouted, referring to the parent company which owns the popular beer brand. He never mentioned Mulvaney by name in his video, which has been seen more than 213 times on his Instagram and 2.3 million times on Twitter in the 2 hours since it was posted. But transgender advocates slammed the violent video, with one saying it made her feel sick and heartbroken. So, yeah, okay, by the way. See, I'm struggling to find the words here, but this news article is trying to construct a heuristic in your brain. to make you think that, okay, you read, there's no link to this, or is there? Oh, this is just fucking, who cares? Is this the video? Oh, come on, what the fuck? Alright, hold on a sec. So what this news article is trying to do is make you subconsciously think that Kid Rock reacted violently, which is of course very vague, to Bud Light shilling for LGBT, and then that kind of leaves you to interpret, kind of like, how do you say, like a vague plot element in a movie. Just leave it to your imagination to think, okay, well, what could Kid Rock have possibly done to, I don't know, badmouth LGBT people? And it's kind of clear that the news is sort of trying to paint Kid Rock in a bad light because he's a resistance to the winds of politics, which are mostly blowing in one direction, as you can tell. So, on one hand, I think it's kind of cringe that he's just taking the time, spending the money to buy ammo, to put in his gun and shoot a bunch of beer cans just to just basically burn a marketing bridge for his brand. But on the other, I think I'm kind of happy to see people standing up to for the most part, a cultural artifact of the West that is only seeking to destroy and interfere with the free commerce that Western cultures have worked so hard to develop. So I have really mixed feelings when I look at this. I'm not a fan of quote unquote redneck culture, and I'm also not a fan of like the pushy bullshit that leftism is going at. And I kind of stand, as I often do, as a kind of a third party to a common conflict between two people or two groups of people. So I don't know. I don't know if I would have done the same if I were Kid Rock. Considering his personality, I probably would have been more subtle about it. Well, I mean, if I were his personality, then I would just be the same thing as him, duh. Probably a little smarter, probably a bit more sophisticated, but I probably would have been more subtle about it. I think that just simply just shooting cans is just kind of like this really, again, it's cringe. Like, it's clear that you're expressing some kind of anger by shooting cans. But it's just like watching a child just banging his fists on the table, saying forks and knives. I demand, I don't know, a different dinner. Like, if you're going to talk a bunch of shit, why not actually just like follow through with it? But of course, that would be advocating violence, which is not what I'm privy to do. So, if I were him, I think it would have been a lot more tasteful and interesting to just like find a way to mock it really subtly. For example, he would like, if I were Kid Rock, I would have shilled for Bud Light in a very sarcastic manner, and then make fun of how their product is awful, and like Bud Light tastes like piss in a can, and now it would look like it too. Brought to you by Kid Rock, something like that, right? I know I'm not as much of a comedian as I should be, but I'm working on it. But again, on the other hand, it's good that there's finally some resistance to the woke plague, both at primarily at the social level, and then as a knock-on effect at the financial or economic level. And I think it's good that people are starting to realize that the people who criticize you or try to cancel you aren't going to fucking buy your product anyway. And I think that the cultural right in the United States and Europe are trying to develop their own parallel economy. For example, the rise of alt tech, hashtag still not sponsored, but come find me on MGTOW.tv. Very good anti-censorship platform. And because of people realizing, one, these customers are never going to buy their shit in the first place, and two, therefore we must not placate to them in order to stay true to our original business or artistic visions. Yeah, I guess now that I think about it more and more, I think I should be happy about this, even if it's not my style. Even though if I tend to be more subtle or sarcastic. Anyway, let's continue with the article. Let me see if I can sign in real quick to my shitstagram. Come on. What the fuck? No, I'm not signing up on my Facebook. Fuck you. Okay, let's just go look it up real quick. Kid Rock shooting beer cans. Bud Light. Okay.
This month I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light and maybe win some money too.
Cheers.
We're now below.
See ya.
No more Anheuser-Busch products in this house.
Nope.
Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
Okay. What's John Cardillo saying here? Who the hell at Bud Light thought it was a good idea to make a grown man who dresses like little girls their new spokesperson? Brands need to stop listening to their woke creative teams and get in touch with their consumer demographics. Yeah, there's obviously some loaded words there and some rhetoric, but I mean, yeah, it's all, on the other hand, he has a point. Obviously, Mr. Cardillo here doesn't know the power of ESG, and it's just kind of a financial arms race at that point. Will the quote unquote parallel economy from the right outspend the money of the ESG money, which I guess is governed chiefly by the United States, what is it, the Federal Reserve, or whoever fucking runs the money machine. Pardon my ignorance on this matter. Can you spend more than what the U.S. government can print? I don't know about that. Hold on, who the hell is spamming me on Discord? Oh, shit. Ah, geez, sorry about that. Anyway. Yeah. outspoken about the negativity she receives from being a transgender public figure. Yeah, being any fucking public figure.
There is so much hatred direct.
Okay, hold on. If you're famous, you're gonna have haters, no matter what the fuck you do. People are going to find reasons to be offended by you, and they'll probably look for reasons to sue you because they want a slice of that money. They want a slice of that fame for themselves, and that's how fucking pathetic some people. That's how pathetic some people are. So there's nothing special about being a transgender celebrity. People will hate you no matter what, and then your fans will like you no matter what. People in convergent behavior, people do the same thing. They like you or hate you for often many different reasons. So
the trans community right now, it's everywhere, and I think the greatest weapon that I can contribute is trans joy and comedy and talking about hard, subjects and really intricate moments of a transition, and try to let everybody in to see that, I'm not a monster. I'm not somebody that, is trying to do anything but be myself and be happy.
Anheuser-Busch defends its paid promotion.
It turns out it has something to do with sports.
The beverage company says the commemorative beer can has been a quote, personal gift from Mulvaney, not for public sale.
One time.
So, I wonder where. Oh shit! I'm sorry. The fucking cover was on.
And then was shot.
So, I just really wonder where Mulvaney gets her money from. Kind of suspicious.
Right now, it's the
greatest weapon how much of a resume can you build by just being? Oh, look at me, I'm transgender. Like, is that ESG money too? I guess. Like, holy shit. I don't know. I just see both parties kind of stupid and unwilling to. I guess it's either party's unwilling to walk in the other's shoes. So, like, and if these people want to get along with each other, which clearly they don't. Like, Cardillo could have said, actually, no. Well, that this whole post would be completely irrelevant if he understood the magnitude of ESG, and then he would just shut up and just continue doing his own thing. I mean, I guess maybe what's also going on is that these people are just trying to start a fight with each other because that's how you create drama. Drama gets attention. Attention means eyeballs on your product, which is marketing, which is money. So in that case, it kind of makes sense. There's always. For example, drama is always garners more attention than tepidity, right? Or tranquility. So, I guess I'm out of words at this point. I have mixed sympathies with either party. So on one hand, again, as an artist, and I understand the importance of sticking out from the crowd, breaking the mold, and presenting something unique to the world as an artist, as a writer, illustrator, I don't know, fucking man in a dress, apparently. On the other, yeah, I mean, I really hate to fence it. I hate to sound like Tim Pool, but this is genuinely how I feel about the issue. And what I think about the issue is that with the twist of individuality, if you feel a need to command the respect and attention, or feel a need to plea for, in any way whatsoever, the respect and attention and admiration of your patrons, your fans, your customers, you probably weren't worth it to begin with. Because if you just speak your mind off the cuff, and this goes for both Mulvaney and Mr. Kid Rock here. If you feel the need to beat your chest about something, it's probably not true to begin with. If you feel the need to advocate for something and insist that you insist on anything, XYZ, like, why talk shit? Just do it. Why do you need to prove something that is you're so confident about of self-evident to begin with? Like it's just I don't know. Maybe I'm just the kind of person who just doesn't enjoy chest beating. You know, other than the purview of my close friends and associates, where we just talk shit all the time. That's how I've always rolled. But yeah, like, why tell me about it? Don't tell me. Show me. And I guess he's trying to show me that he doesn't like Bud Light and he doesn't like, I don't know, the leftism in general by shooting a bunch of beer cans. But is that really showing me? What worth is that more than just talking shit on a camera? And talk is cheap, and so is shooting beer. So is shooting cans. Okay, talk is cheap, and so is, I guess, 5.56 ammo for shooting beer cans. So why not bring something of more value? Fuck, why not write a song talking shit about Bud Light and Mulvaney, since you hate them both? That's my advice to you, Kid Rock. And you can be subtle about it so people can't sue you for defamation or whatever, or slander. Just drop a little like ad lib somewhere in your lyrics about how I dropped the can of Bud, and I've dropped the no, I'm not a very good improvised songwriter, as you can tell. I've dropped a can of Bud so I can drop the beat over, I don't know, fucking the politicians and scumbags who want to doctor what I have to say as Kid Rock, etc., etc. I mean, you go nuts. You're the fucking songwriter here, right? This just seems really just unproductive. And again, you're burning more bridges for your own marketing. So, I mean, if I were you, I would look to expand my business, but of course that might come at a compromise to your vision as an artist, which I must respect. And I must also respect Mulvaney's vision as sort of an artist. I'm not sure what Dylan Mulvaney does. If he/she's just an activist, I mean, yeah, I don't really respect that. But Mulvaney's probably, well, I guess I will just look at it. Dylan Mulvaney. So, an actress? So there's like a merchandise store. So, okay, so there's some business. Some business. Okay, so Mulvaney has starred in some movies as a transgender actress. Okay. Yeah, that one's not too. I guess Mulvaney could be a good, what is it, like a body double or a extra for a lot of, like, does this not look like what's her face? JFK's wife? What's her, God, what's her name? JFK wife. Jacqueline Kennedy. I don't know. That's just what I thought. Especially, I guess, the hairstyle is just like 50s, 60s. I don't know. That's just kind of what I thought. That would be an interesting thing to do in the movie. But of course, like, I imagine the voice would be just kind of iffy. Anyway, so clearly, you know, Mulvaney, with all due respect, has some potential as an artist. What the fuck is it? What? Anyway, so I guess when artists are at odds with each other, I guess this is kind of like another nod to Richard Haas's, what does he call it? The bill of responsibilities. as opposed to the Bill of Rights. So clearly, at some point, these two artists' rights will be at odds with each other. I guess, for example, right to revenue. Well, in that case, neither artist is entitled to the fans' revenue, to fans' attention and admiration, and most importantly of all, money. So now they have to have a PR contest about who can garner the most reception. And from a PR standpoint, I can see that, okay, Kid Rock is like, clearly, that's not a, what, hold on, what is he shooting it with? That's not even a, hold on. Did the fucking journalist, did they say he shot it with an AR-15? That is not an AR-15. That is a Heckler & Koch MP5. That's a submachine gun. That's not a rifle. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm getting way too involved in this article. Okay, related to articles, how the AR-15 became the symbol of the U.S. right. No, it's not part of the right. It's a fucking government gun. Get the fuck out of here. Shoot. Look at that. Look at these fucking journalistic retards. Rock holding an assault rifle. That is not an assault rifle. Look at this. That is not a rifle. That is a submachine gun. It's smaller. It can be a two-handed weapon, yes. But it's not a rifle. Get it fucking right, journalists. Do your fucking homework. Anyway, so back to my greater point. So, Mulvaney, I think, at least from the media presented to me in this webpage right here, Mulvaney is taking the high road. He/she is being a bit more civil about this clear conflict, and then Kid Rock responds by saying, "Fuck Bud Light, I'm gonna shoot him out. I'm gonna shoot your beer. I'm gonna shoot your shitty product with my gun here." Pew, 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 pew. Like, it's pretty clear. I mean, who's taking the high road? I would say that there's like a decent split. I don't know. I can't. I'm only going to spitball the data. I think it's a decent, very, very well divided response. Some people, they might think, okay, well, Mulvaney's taking the high road, and Mulvaney is approaching this more maturely. And then other people are like, "Oh, fuck trans people. I don't give a fuck what they think. I'm here to drink beer and drive my truck around and withhold my traditional conservative values." And, of course, that's the other half. I mean, I guess I'll say that I think I'll tip my hat to Mulvaney in terms of handling the conflict in a more adult and less confrontational way. But I praise Kid Rock for being part of the greater phenomena of resisting cultural pressures to interfere with business. And in this case, actually, in some sense, artistic expression. So, okay, let's see what else this fucking article says. He never mentioned Mulvaney in videos. Okay, but sick and heartbroken. Quote, "It felt violent and threatening and made my fear for the people I love who are trans come to the fore yet again as hate is celebrated. What we are becoming as human beings is that this kind of behavior is what are we becoming as human beings that this kind of behavior is tolerated?" Susie Green, a community director of Gender GP, a transgender health provider, told Newsweek. "Cheered on even. It's sickening and shameful." As for Gemma Stone, the co-founder of news site Trans Rights, Rock's display came as a, quote, example of fragile masculinity. And in the video, he, quote, managed to come across as even less masculine than the incredibly feminine Dylan Mulvaney, whom his impotent protest is about. Bravo, kiddo. Quote, "I hope Kid Rock has a very fun time buying things he doesn't like politically and then shooting them in his garden. But it would probably be better if he transitioned to adult rock by growing the fuck up," Stone said Newsweek. I'm sorry, I gotta give it to them. That's a pretty decent comeback. You talk shit about a product, but you just gave him like a few bucks to buy a few cases of it. That's that's a good criticism of just like American culture in general. Like I'm sure Kid Rock's fans are the ones that are going to pull up in their in their 1 ton, often lifted, often modified pickup trucks, and then fill up, and then look at the number tick upwards and upwards and upwards, and then complain about the fucking gas prices. Like, you don't show up in your F-350 and then fucking complain about fuel prices, unless that's a commercial vehicle that you are somehow obligated to pay to fuel up to do your job. Then okay, sure. But if it's your personal vehicle, which it probably is, there's probably not a fucking speck of dirt on it at all. Just shut the fuck up about fuel prices. You want to save fuel? Drive less. Get a smaller vehicle. Or God forbid, ride a bike. Oh wait, you don't want to do that because you think there's some kind of political statement about your stupid fucking pickup. Like, no one cares. Money talks. And your talk is cheap. Clearly. And so is beer. And 9mm ammo. Even cheaper than 5.56. So it's just laugh at it with me. That's all I ask of you. Okay, the writer added that she was more concerned about Bud Light's support of the transgender community as it comes under increasing attacks in the U.S., including hundreds of proposed bills in different state, singular, to strip back transgender rights and access to health care. Okay, well, all right, this is also a loaded sentence here. So, access to health care. Well, what does that mean? That means transition services. So, I understand that certain cases of people with whether you call it gender identity disorder or gender dysphoria, for some people, it's just kind of like, oh well, it sucks that I'm born male and want to be female, or I'm born female and I want to be male. For other people, for a very, very small percentage of people, I'd imagine that it can be something that is like an existential problem. And whether or not we can prove that this is actually, there's no like test to see, okay, well, is your gender identity crisis a life-threatening issue to you? Well, anyone could say yes, and anyone could say no as they so choose. So a lot of them will say yes, that, oh, I'm suicidal because I can't transition or whatever. And that's another way to abuse the legal protections and the financial allocations given to transgender people. So it's the exact same argument that I see happening with like Planned Parenthood, for example. The feminist activists who insist on the refunding or expansion of tax money, government subsidies, your tax dollars hard at work to fund mostly abortions, is the same thing. Quote, access to health care for women. And they talk about, oh, how, well, Planned Parenthood is a source of gynecological health care. Okay, why don't you just go to a gyno? Oh, right, you're broke and you're not responsible. And you're so irresponsible, you probably had sex with a man that you probably didn't deem as an adequate father. So that's why you're probably one of the reasons why you're going to get rid of the child. So yeah, it's pay attention to these things. Pay attention to and try. And whenever you see this kind of like rhetorical device here, understand where it's coming from and understand how it's going to be abused. Clearly, they're partially abusing this statement here: transgender rights and access to healthcare. Okay, under what legal pretense is your right to spend my tax money on your personal issue, which I clearly probably don't care about unless you are my child? Who is that right there? And from there on, it's kind of a subjective debate, apparently. At that point, it's not about right and wrong, that nothing ever is. Which is fucking right. I don't believe in right and wrong. At this point, it's just, okay, who's responsible, who's winning, and who's losing. So, for one, I don't care what people do with their bodies. And if people are willing to understand the consequences of medical treatment to become transgender, particularly in regards to like hormones and surgery. That is not my business. Who am I to say that you should or shouldn't do that? You know, if you were my child, probably a different story. But again, why should I pay for it? So, yeah. So, quote, what I want to know is what are they doing to support the transgender staff and the staff of transgender family amidst this moral panic? How are they going to oppose the over 300? Okay, I already read that. I'm sorry. Pronouns can be a gesture, but it's an empty one if they aren't putting in the work, which is a good fucking point. You know, if I were transgender, and let's say I want to become a woman, right? And I know that I'm going to sound like a woman, or I'm not going to sound like a woman. Thus, I cannot realistically expect people to address me as she/her. You can hear my cringe there. And at that point, I already understand that, okay, I could say my story. A very small percentage of people are actually going to truly understand and then empathize. Then that's like 5%. So then 47%. So 47.5% of people are just going to pretend to understand it in order to placate and be nice to me and bullshit me, lie to my face. And the other 47% do not understand, but also they fear and hate me out of ignorance. So I mean, adjust your expectations. Like if you are unhappy with your birth sex and you're considering becoming transgender, understand what you're going up against. And to expect people to fucking use their brain cells, that is a very tall order. I can assure you, very few will be privy to that. I mean, I have trouble finding friends as a cisgender man because people are just so lazy and unsophisticated for the most part. And why would they give a shit? They're in the same position as me regarding, for example, like the public funding of women's and transgender healthcare. Why should I pay for it, especially when you are not my child? In my opinion, there's not a lot of good answers to that question, other than that, oh, you will respect us. You know, that you remember that terrifying video, right? That's not an empty threat, by the way. So while I'll be a tongue in cheek, I will call out that "You Will Respect Us" video, which I'm sure you can find on your own, from that transgender activist, quote unquote. And this is how quote unquote culture wars start. Congratulations, you started them. I hope you make a lot of money in the process, and I hope that money's worth it. I hope you spend it all. I hope you don't spend it all in one place, and I hope you buy something very good for yourself with that money. Conservative commentators reacted with anger upon Mulvaney's Instagram post revealing her face on the can of Bud Light. Matt Walsh, good old Matt Walsh, the creator of What is a Woman? God, that movie is so cringe. Quote, the good news is that Bud Light tastes like rainwater that someone siphoned out of a tin bucket, so it should be very easy to boycott, says Mr. Walsh, a conservative commentator, tweeted on Sunday. Quote, boycott Bud Light and never drink it again ever, tweeted Mike Crispy, a podcast host and former Republican New Jersey primary candidate for Congress. Other Twitter... Oh, shut up. Get the fuck out of here. Other Twitter users pointed out that Bud Light had been a partner of LGBT pride for, quote, over 20 years, unquote, while some said other major beer brands have also shown solidarity with the LGBTQ plus community. Good luck finding better beer, wrote Ed Krassenstein, a social media personality. The problem for them is that virtually every major beer company have multiple ellipses, have multiple programs that also support LGBTQ plus communities. LGBTQ plus support isn't the problem. Bigotry is the problem. Which, again, he's not affiliated with Anheuser-Busch. I don't know. Fucking. I hope Krassenstein has successfully signaled his virtues. Anheuser-Busch told Newsweek that the personalized can was sent to Mulvaney as a quote gift to celebrate a personal milestone is not for sale to the general public. That's okay. That's interesting. So why is Kid Rock up in a tizzy about a personal basically a personal handshake? So I guess he could point. The Kid Rock could respond. Well, I was pointing my finger at the rainbow cans of Bud Light that you just saw in this news article. And then I would respond, well, yeah, every other fucking company's taking ESG money in one way or another. And I'm sure if you were offered a fat enough paycheck, you might say the same. Although I'm sure your lifted truck and your fancy fake country house is probably indication that you're already flush with enough revenue. But look, it's up to you if you want to start fights with people instead of trying to be friends with them. I wouldn't do the same. That's just not my style. If anything, I would like to I'd like to use this word sparingly. Diversify the content that I produce as an artist. If I were Kid Rock, I would continue to produce the music that I am famous for as this hypothetical Kid Rock, but then also look for ways to mix it up. Adding different references to I don't know, electronic music from Europe or R&B from Black Americans, or using different chord progressions from, let's say, I don't know, Asian music. That just makes you a much more interesting artist in general. And you don't have to be woke by doing so. You just kind of slide it into, you just add a little twist to your normal thing. Like, for example, hick hop, right? That may be, apparently Kid Rock's a rap or whatever. Like hick hop. How does hick hop come to manifest as a genre? Well, it's a combination of American country style vocals and I guess lyrical topics in combination with rap rhythm and rap style vocal execution, rapping in lines with a trap rhythm behind it. And apparently it's a hit. The white trash audience that Kid Rock likely appeals to for the most part, loves hip hop. So you're kind of just limiting yourself by refusing to take inspiration from people that you actually might initially find distasteful or disagreeable to your own genre. But do you not get bored of just doing the exact same thing again and again and again as an artist? I don't know about you, but I do. And that's why I mix my own stuff up. And I would encourage you to do the same. Not just for your brand, not just for your music, but just for you as a person. So, to Kid Rock, which he's obviously not going to see this, or his fans, I hate saying this, but I can't think of better words to express the idea, is that be open-minded not because you want to placate to me or because I tell you to be. Be open-minded for your own sake. Life is a lot more interesting when you try new ideas and try new things. And if it doesn't work, well, what exactly did you lose? It's a learning opportunity. And that overall just enriches you as a person in general. Perhaps I'm somehow biased. After all, I am a child of immigrants to my country, and I have many different cultural influences. I am, by definition, I'm multilingual. I am a very multicultural person. So maybe I just can't relate to people who have hitched their identity to just one country, in which I imagine that Kid Rock is a dyed-in-the-wool, pure-blooded American. Which is really, again, also just an amalgamation of many different European cultures. So you should give your credit to Europe, but you're not going to do that because you're just an American who has its head up his ass, just like a lot of Americans. And I don't know what to tell you at that point. So, quote, a spokesperson for the company also said it, quote, works with hundreds of influencers across our brands as one of many ways to authentically connect with audiences across various demographics. For time to time, we produce unique commemorative cans for fans and brand influencers like Dylan Mulvaney. Yes, like I said earlier, like the beer can of any Anheuser-Busch type beer, or just any fucking beverage in general. It's a billboard. You give them money. They put your face on it. They sell your product. That's the exchange. So why would you oppose that? Why doesn't he fight back with all his fucking money to just put his own face on the can? Or I don't know, find his preferred brand of beer and go sell his brand, his product, his visage on those cans. Why not use capitalism to fight, I don't know, people who hurt your feelings, apparently. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah. Anyway, that was a whole lot of stupid. I hope you grasp something from my tirade on the matter. And let's go to the next article then. So, The Street talks about how Elon Musk was knocked off his throne again. Who knows, spending $44 billion as a joke on a company worth less than half of that could have such dire consequences. Oh, not me. Elon Musk is no longer the world's richest person according to an updated Forbes billionaires list. Now, I think my conspiracy theory when I see this so-called news update is that they are updating the someone somewhere snuck into like the Forbes, like I guess the Forbes headquarters and said, "Psst, hey, I don't like Elon Musk and I got a lot of money in my pocket. So how much do you want for revising the hierarchy of the world's richest people to take Elon Musk off of there? Name your price. Here's a blank check." Just slides it under the table. And I think someone took that check, wrote a big number with a lot of zeros on there, and then they got this news updated. Because clearly the government has a big stake in trying to deperson or badmouth. They're digging through like his past sex and dating life. They're probably calling all the women he fucked, which I'm sure he slayed a lot of poonie, to try to get him off of the position, because he is in the position, as you know, to talk shit about the government, to give them a middle finger, and the government doesn't like that. So they're just kind of playing like this like under the table blank check and like foot fight, like kids who like sit at a desk in school and they just like fucking like kick each other's feet as a fight. That's what's like going on between Elon Musk and the government right now. It's fucking childish. What a waste of money, but still, it's entertaining nonetheless. So, and meanwhile, there's another article that says Elon Musk climbs back to the top of the world. This is so fucking stupid. I hope my click on this news article is worth it. The Street. Fucking. Anyway. Bernard Arnault, the French head of the international luxury conglomerate LVMH, has taken over the top spot after adding $53 billion to his personal fortune thanks to the success of his company brands like Louis Vuitton and Hennessy. Hennessy, like the fucking... Oh, you mean like the custom car company? Oh, shit. God damn, fucking... Sacre bleu. What a baller we have here. Oui, oui. Arnault now sits atop the Forbes list with an estimated net worth of $211 billion, which is 31 more than last year's richest man, Elon Musk. So the biggest issue for Musk is that most of his wealth is tied to Tesla, and while his shares are up more than 40% year to date, the electric vehicle company is still trading at less than half of its all-time high in November 2021. Meanwhile, LVMH shares jumped 35% last year, according to Forbes. Calculating net worth isn't an exact science, duh. Of course, and Forbes isn't the only organization watching the pockets of the rich. Outside the Forbes, the Bloomberg Billionaires Index is one of the most trusted sources for accurate wealth information, and unlike Forbes, Bloomberg's list is updated daily. As of April 3rd, Arnault is in the top spot with a $199 billion fortune, while Musk is the runner-up with 178. Wow, Hathaway looks good in that picture. Not gonna lie. Dude, she used to be really hot back in I don't know if you guys watched Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I don't know. I had a thing for her. Anyway, and then The Street. I guess okay. So that was last month. So no, I'm sorry, February. February they wrote an article talking about how Elon Musk climbs back to the top of the world. So maybe my conspiracy theory is isn't as watertight as I thought it was. But yeah, I don't know. What the? I guess my theory kind of sucks because how would it really affect anything? Elon Musk is still going to be within top 5, top 10, and people aren't going to forget who he is or respect him any more or less just because his position changed on the Forbes magazine. But on the other hand, I mean, does the government really have anything better to do with their time and money? Probably not. So of course they're just let's go fuck with Elon. Oh, he's up to his shit again. Okay, what could we try this time? Oh yeah, I know. Let's go send one of our goonies to go bribe Forbes magazine. That'll be brilliant. Yeah. At least I can look busy until the boss comes in. Like a lot of fucking government employees do. Oh shit. Okay. The Business Insider. Speaking of Elon Musk, let's just hit you with another one. Tesla was ordered to pay $3.2 million in damages to a former employee in a racial discrimination case. Yep. These people, I'm not fucking kidding you. These people literally make their living by finding problems or inventing them and then suing you for it. I guess, again, let's laterally integrate back into Kid Rock's business issue. Elon Musk clearly doesn't have as much of a say. He clearly seems like the guy who would just tell you, go fuck yourself if you try to sue him for frivolous Title 5, 7, or 9 bullshit. Which is honestly totally respectable in this day and age. But of course, does Elon Musk handle every single decision that his companies do? Obviously not. For example, ChatGPT, everyone's favorite AI. That is powered by Elon Musk money, but Elon Musk doesn't really have a say in what the company does in terms of their conduct and their list of liabilities. If you try to make sex jokes or remark about, I don't know, the size of women's boobs to ChatGPT says, oh, it's important to respect to treat people with equal dignity and respect, blah 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. I asked for a clever remark on women's boobies, and you don't want to fucking give that to me? Okay, well, yeah, then that's when you stop giving them money and stop using their product if you really care that much. But again, so obviously the actions of Tesla or SpaceX or whatever bullshit that Elon Musk is hustling around is not necessarily indicative of Elon Musk's personal beliefs. But we kind of get we're not stupid. We kind of get the gist of what Elon Musk is about. And for the most part, he is just a good example of classical male confidence, not giving a fuck what other people think and just kind of being rich and being badass in your own right. So, well, okay, let me shut up and let's read more. Former Tesla employee Owen Diaz was awarded $3.2 million in damages after suing the company. The verdict stems from a 2017 complaint where he faced racist abuse and Tesla failed to prevent it. Diaz had previously refused a $15 million award in the case and filed for this new trial. On the latest ruling on a long-standing discrimination case against Tesla, former employee Owen Diaz was awarded $3.2 million in damages for, quote, racist harassment, unquote, that he faced while working in the electric vehicle manufacturer's flagship plant. A jury on Monday handed down the decision of awarding the former construction elevator operator and $175,000 in damages for the emotional distress. can't fucking read that with a straight face. Are you fucking emotional distress? Isn't this just a beautiful work of lawyers? Just take a moment to appreciate that fucking emotional distress. You literally hurt my feelings, and thus I will sue you. Can you just America? That is just America in a nutshell right now. Oh my god. So Owen suffered as an employee of Tesla and $3 million in punitive damages meant to deter Tesla from allowing the conduct to happen again. The word stands for complaint, which Owens, who is capital B, black, said he regularly heard racial slurs on the Fremont, California factory floor, saw racist graffiti and cartoons written in the company's bathrooms, and was, quote, told to go back to Africa by colleagues. Oh my god. No. Shut the fuck up. Okay, what I think is going on is that Owens got along with a bunch of guys. And his bros, and again, well, you can't hear it, but I tell way worse jokes to my friends. I have friends of different races. I'm not white myself. Racist jokes are a staple of a healthy relationship between two male friends. And what I think happens, before reading any more, dare I assume I make an ass out of you and me, is that this Owens guy, he got along with his coworker as well. And then there's one guy who fucking ruined it for everybody. And then he got fired. And then but then he can't sue them for wrongful termination. So he just finds some other thing to sue them for. And he pulls up this racist joke that he was told by his close friends, to which he was not properly offended by. And then turns it around and sues. Under, I guess, Title V, racial discrimination, right? So, yeah, I'm calling bullshit. In 2021, Tesla was ordered to pay $137 million in damages over the suit, but the amount was slashed to $15 million by a judge who argued the previous jury had awarded an unconstitutionally large sum. Yeah, you don't fucking say. God damn. In 2022, Owens rejected the $15 million award, instead opting for a new trial. This one, which he was ultimately awarded a lower amount. That's what happens when you get too greedy, when you play Deal or No Deal. Tesla's wanting to fucking settle with you, and you're like, nope, 15 million ain't enough. I want 137. Like, get the fuck out of here. Shit. Oh my god. During Friday's closing arguments, lawyers for Owens urged jurors to award him nearly $160 million in damages, Reuters reported, while Tesla was aimed to limit the award to $600,000. God, imagine all the shit you could do with that kind of money. I mean, I'm sure you could find a way to spend it all in just a matter of days, but still, holy shit. Representatives and lawyers for Tesla did not immediately respond to Insider's request for comment. In a statement emailed to Insider, Bernard Alexander, a lawyer for Owens, said he had already filed for a mistrial on the most recent decision, quote, with respect to defense violation of trial orders that improperly introduced evidence and argument, both during trial and closing arguments. The judge also took the pre-closing notion under submission before it went to the jury, Alexander told the Insider, adding that decision was still pending. Quote, we'll let the dust settle and get the court's rulings of the defense misconduct. Yeah, that's just the cost of doing business at this point, isn't it? I don't know. This article just kind of speaks for itself at this point. Like, Jesus. Oh, man. Anyway. So, I guess this article came out at the same time. It says that Tesla ordered to pay $3.2 million in racial bias lawsuit. I guess this is a different lawsuit. $3.2 million? So the amount is far less than the $15 million that Owen Diaz, the plaintiff, rejected last year instead of opting for a fresh trial, reported Reuters. So he won $175,000 for hurt feelings and $3 million in punitive damages. What the fuck? Oh my god. So, la 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 la. So on Monday, Elon Musk reacted to the verdict. He said on Twitter that if Tesla had been allowed to introduce new evidence, the verdict would have been 0. Quote, jury did the best they could with the information they had. I respect the decision, unquote. Hallmark's catalog said on April 3rd, 2023 on Twitter, LOL, so remember the contractor that got $137 million by a jury for workplace racism while at Tesla? The judge reduced the award to only $15 million, so he opted for a new trial on damages. They asked for $116 million, but the new jury gave them $3 million instead. Yeah, you can read this if you want. I won't read it to you. Elon Musk responds, if we had been allowed to introduce new evidence, the verdict would have been 0, in my opinion. Jury did the best they could with the information that they had. I respect the decision. Diaz's lawyer, Alexander, had urged jurors to, during closing statements on Friday, to award the plaintiff almost $160 million, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what? So this caused a little bump in the road of the Tesla share price. Oh, well, I didn't learn anything. Okay, that was a waste of time. Anyway, what other articles we have lined up? Okay, I just saw this article in the ad banner when I was looking at all these other articles about Kid Rock and Elon Musk. Is a recession coming? 9 steps, 9 things to do ASAP. So basically, this article just talks about. I'll make it quick. Sorry to. I'll keep it quick and painless. So they are talking about basically shaving hairs off of diminishing returns for the most part. And you could say, okay, well, if I add up all these little savings all together, then no. They're called diminishing returns. You're shaving off the top. You're not actually making a huge cut to your expenses. So this is just an example of just marketing the tertiary factors while marketing the molehill while forgetting about the mountain. The financial mountain of of American financial failure is debt, automobiles, housing. So you get rid of these 3 things or downsize these 3 things. Those are where the bulk of your fucking savings are going to come from. Either that or you generate more income. Well, generating more income means you need to work more or you need to take on a higher risk or higher bullshit job, which you may not want to do. So in that case, in order to have more money available in your pocket, you must cut your expenses, which are, again, debt, cars, houses. So, how do you get an American to downsize? Well, that's just like trying to herd wet cats into a swimming pool. You can't just herd cats together. Now you have to herd cats into a swimming pool. No one wants to fucking do that. So, of course, because no one wants to do that, then just like with diet, you just tell them the shortcut and try to bullshit them into thinking that the shortcut is the closest route to solving the problem as much as possible. People don't want to count calories. They don't want to count the money that them dollars going out of their pocket to pay off the debts of their oversized cars and oversized houses. So as an American, your best option is probably to downsize. But of course you don't want to downsize. Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I have either friends or neighbors who are raising 3 children, 3 small children in a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment. Now, it's a husband, wife, and grandma and 3 kids, but still, they pack 5 people into a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment. If they can do it, why can't you? That's right, you probably have a bunch of shit in your garage that you don't want to sell or throw away or sort out. And your kids are probably thinking they want the same thing because you want to spoil them because nothing's too good for daddy's little princess or little prince, right? Cut all that shit out. Stop spending money on your own bullshit. Tell your wife, hey, we need to save money, okay? We're going to downsize. And if you don't like that, well, I guess we'll have to take it to court. You don't want to know. Look, there's again, as I say to everybody, you always have options. You're just not willing to consider them. And that's why you're wasting your time reading these fucking stupid articles about how to save like $2 a year. Like, that's not going to save your financial headaches. And especially whenever, I guess, if there is a recession coming, which I'm not really that concerned about. If that's coming, all these fucking ideas in this stupid article aren't going to save you. You need to cut your expenses or you need to increase your income. Start with the basics. Every time you forget the basics, that's how masters fuck up. Masters fuck up whenever they forget the basics, the most obvious things. They pay too much attention to the molehill and forget the mountain behind their ass. So, do what you will with that. I'm not liable for your financial failure, but I'm sure going to take credit for your success. Because that's how life works. Okay. Anyway. More bullshit about jet fighters, in case you are not tired of me talking about it to begin with. Okay. Let's try to breeze through this as much as possible. So, at the surface level, again, not just falling for the headline. This is just. So this headline says F-22 Raptor upgrades to keep it flying. So somehow the plane upgrades itself to keep itself flying for another 46 years or longer. So are they really though? I mean, it's a decent platform. And by the way, it's a surprisingly maneuverable aircraft. It's only slightly larger than, say, like the European jet fighters that I keep bragging about. Yeah, I think it also makes more financial sense to upgrade a mostly successful platform as is instead of spending money on the F-35C money hole. The F-35 Lockheed Martin F-35 money pit 2. So. I mean, yeah. So, Raytheon, good old Raytheon, military-industrial complex, said that the Block 2 variant has some improvements that enhances safety on the ground and in flight. The AIM-9X, which is an air-to-air missile, has a greater range and greater tracking field of view. So it can basically track more accurately. Yeah, that's also probably cheaper than throwing more money into the fucking F-35. AIM-120. So AMRAAMs. I guess AMRAAMs, if you will. Another long-range air-to-air engagement missile. So it's just upgrading weapons, but not really the aircraft itself. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess you can observe this whenever people look at cars. For example, resto mods are coming into more and more into fashion. Where you take an old car and you just upgrade all the parts that suck or are outdated, and then give them a modern twist. For example, let's say if you have like really crappy halogen bulbs, you switch them out for LEDs. If you have, I don't know, some really crappy wheels, like those some well, upgrading. Duh. I don't need to go too much into detail. So, yeah. Interesting to see this article. It's very uncharacteristic of what the U.S. military has been doing for a while. I mean, other than that, it's kind of their job to maintain their relevance in the grand scheme of things and protect the value of the U.S. dollar, which is their only fucking job left that they can't even try to do at this point. But then again, there's the brick system. So, yeah. Not much else to look at here. So the author is Chris Osborne, who apparently is qualified by being a, quote, highly qualified expert in the Office of the Assistant Secretary of the Army of Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology. So, government cocksucker. Fair enough. He appeared as a guest military expert. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. American military, go buy some European fighter jets and keep flying the F-22s, whatever. Just stop fucking giving Lockheed Martin their money. Stop funding their orgies and Quaalude overdoses that they're having in their corporate offices. Like fucking Jordan Belfort in Wolf of Wall Street. Oh my god, what a movie. That's some good shit. Okay, speaking of engineering and technology, how soon could we, from MotorBiscuit.com, how soon could we see the end of V8 engines? Before you scream automotive sacrilege for me suggesting such a thing, it is easy to see the end of V8 engines and in some vehicles looming over our heads. Toyota already turned to a turbocharged V6 in the Tundra. Ford has a twin-turbo V6 in the Expedition. And it's only a matter of time before GM follows suit. These boosted V6 and onslaught of EVs aren't the first signs of the end of V8 engines. When did the end of V8 engines begin? As strange as it might sound, at the start of the end of the venerable V8 engine began in 1973. This is when the first oil embargo hit and gas-guzzling engines made it much less affordable for some drivers. Prior to this, the V8 engine was very extremely popular. Look back to the 1950s and 60s and you'll see a slew of cars with big honkin' V8s under the hood, also known as grandma cars, very overweight sedans with large V8 engines. One of which being the tail end of that generation of cars is the Ford Crown Victoria, which is an interesting vehicle to say the least. So, at that time, there was, quote, no replacement for displacement. At the time, there was no replacement or displacement. And automakers sought to build bigger and bigger engines. I think he meant for displacement. And by the way, there is a replacement for displacement. It's called forced induction. You put a turbo on the engine, it gives you a window into which you could temporarily expand the effective engine displacement and thus produce a certain amount of power, extra power by forcing more air into the engine and then adding more fuel. And that's why people love turbos. In fact, Cadillac offered a V8 with 500 cubic inches shortly after the OPEC embargo hit. That's when it all went downhill for V8 engines. Are EVs contributing to the end of V8s? Kind of. If the end of V8s began 50 years ago, this particular power plant was experiencing a slow death. That said, the recent growth and movement towards electric vehicles is only another sword in the coffin for V8s. As ABC News reported in 2021, General Motors announced that at least 40% of U.S. models would be battery electric vehicles by the end of 2025. This announcement, although a bit outdated now, still holds true. We know of several new GM EVs hitting the market for 2024, including the Chevrolet Blazer, Silverado, and Equinox EVs. Wow, holy shit, Chevy's coming out with their Silverado EV? What the oh jeez. That's gonna, I don't even know what to make of that. Cadillac has already given us the lying Lyriq. Buick is moving to an all-EV lineup, and the GMC Hummer EV truck and SUV are only the beginning. Isn't GM investing heavily in the future V8 engines? Flip a coin and you see a completely different side. General Motors is one of the largest automakers in the world and must be practical regarding the vehicles offered. Recently, GM announced a large investment into the future of V8 engine technology. This came on the heels of the new Chevy Corvette Z06 and its incredibly powerful but more compact V8 engine. Although this Corvette Z06 isn't the practical vehicle for future engine development, GM will continue to build and develop V8 engines for its truck and large SUV lineup to ensure customers have alternatives. It's not practical to all Silverado owners to switch to EVs, with questions of towing range and charging times looming. Many GM truck owners use their pickups for hauling livestock, hay bales, and equipment, and which EV trucks aren't ready for yet. I mean, really? Electric vehicles, the advantage is that the torque is instant. You just sneeze on the gas pedal, and wham, there's your torque. So if you want to develop power at low speeds, EVs will probably could beat or at least stand toe-to-toe with gas and diesel internal combustion engines. The only problem And, of course, EVs there's 19 to 23 different systems that are absent in an electric vehicle that are a necessity for the most part in a combustion engine or a internal combustion gas or diesel automobile. So from a maintenance standpoint, sans the battery, which I'll get to later, EVs are also equal or superior in that regard. Probably superior because, again, so many less moving parts. The only drawback with electric vehicles is that the battery doesn't like cold weather. I mean, no machine really likes cold weather, but electric vehicle range suffers more in cold weather because electricity drops the voltage of batteries. And there's really not any way around it unless you have some kind of external heat source to keep the battery warm, and then keep it warm while you run it in, say, cold weather. And then the other disadvantage is that there's a necessary increase in weight, where the battery array of any electric vehicle of respectable range will always weigh more than probably even the largest gas tanks in a gasoline or diesel tanks in a diesel automobile. So in that sense, sure. But that's still not a reason to hate it, because at that point it's a different product or different approach to the same issue of automotive needs. As for V8s, well, let's I guess we'll read on. Will we see the end of V8 powered muscle cars? Well, most likely the end of V8 engines will first hit the muscle car world. First to do so is Dodge with the end of the Hellcat Hemi V8 that has been at the heart of everything Stellantis, formerly Ford. No, I'm sorry, FCA, which I'm guessing is Dodge, Ford, Ram. Could stuff this engine into. The recent move away from Hellcat-powered Dodge Challenger and Charger could signal a similar movement for the Chevy Camaro and Ford Mustang. The end of V8 engines is coming ever closer, but we're not in a doomsday scenario yet. Unlike the people on courthouse steps with a sandwich sign reading, "The end is near," we can continue seeing value of these engines. Still, once EVs begin to hit the heavy-duty truck market, it might actually be the end of this venerable engine configuration. Okay. My thoughts on this matter is that, okay, the V8 has become kind of also just like shooting cans of beer that have gay people on it. It's a political statement. And my chief criticism is that Americans are notorious for doing things in a less efficient, less effective, more expensive, more wasteful, more frustrating, overall dumber way to do things, and then be fucking proud of it. So Americans, unsurprisingly, a lot of them, are completely averse to the idea of electric vehicles without even giving a modicum of thought as to why they are so. They don't stop and ask, okay, why am I so fearful or hatred of EVs? They just do it because of EV bad. Okay, why? Well, because battery. Okay, yeah, sure, that's a weakness of it, so don't fucking buy one. So what's the problem here? Well, they're standing away my American lifestyle. Yeah, well, maybe your lifestyle probably has some issues that it should fix. For example, like I said earlier, your debt, your oversized vehicle, costing you all this extra gas, and your oversized fucking house in suburbia. So maybe for your own financial sake, you should probably downsize your shit. Take up less space on the road. Take up less space in a parking lot. Take up less space with your fat ass on an airplane. Oh, you should also lose weight too. But you don't want to do that either because some vegan asshole, fake vegan asshole on YouTube told you to count calories and that hurt your feelings. You know who you are. You know who I'm talking about. So I get it. I understand. The governments everywhere. They're probably pushing this, and then you're trying to make a political statement by banging your fist on the table and forks and knives. I demand my oversized house, my big debt, my oversized waistline, and my oversized V8 engine. So there is a replacement for displacement. It's called a turbo. Now, then the counter argument is, okay, well, I don't want to have a turbo. Why don't you want to have a turbo in your engine? Because it's another point of mechanical failure. Right, but then having the turbo in there means that you can run a smaller engine with less cylinders. So you have less cylinders for things to break. A simpler machine with less moving parts, literally. A turbo is probably like what? And so for the most part, it's just two propellers on an axle and a bunch of like metal pipes. If you want to look more into depth into how a turbo works, you get the point. You just oil the axle, which is part of the engine's natural lubrication system, or excuse me, pre-built or innate lubrication system. Some might have a separate one, but for the most part, I stand by my statement. In return, here's another thing. So for anyone who complains about cars losing their end user serviceability, I don't know if any of you have ever worked on a V8 engine, but whenever you have a large engine and the same size of engine bay, you have less space to do your job, and sometimes it's a fucking pain in the ass. I don't know if you've ever worked on a car, but you should consider that whenever you make your next vehicle purchase. Here's the other advantage of a small engine. When you have the same size engine bay and a smaller engine, you have more room to work on your car whenever it has problems, instead of taking it to the shop, just like more than likely the corporations and government want you to do. So, in some sense, in a very long chain argument, and come with me on a journey, demanding a smaller engine in a equally sized vehicle or equally sized engine bay allows for more end user serviceability, which allows you to be less reliant on the automobile manufacturers and the government. So it is kind of a political statement to want a smaller engine with a turbo in it instead of your fucking V8. So at that point, the only argument I can come up with against that is my V8, which is just special pleading or an appeal to emotion, which is an appeal to laziness. How many situations? I guess for performance vehicles that might be a different story, but again, I have car friends who have told me that you can generate 1,000 horsepower from a Honda K engine with a big turbo on it, which is literally a 4-cylinder engine that's what, two but less than 3 liters in size. How big of a V8 engine do you need to generate that much power? And then you still add turbos on there anyway, like the fucking Dodge Demon is a V8 with 2 turbos on it. So are you just deliberately trying to be stupid and difficult to make your own life miserable, or what's going on here? I'm not sure. Yeah. So, as you can tell, I know a few things about cars. I have some mechanic background, maybe mechanical or engineering background. I really don't. I shed no tears for the people who bang their fists on the table demanding my V8. Technologies are developed. Sometimes they work. Sometimes they work for a long time, and then sometimes they get outdated. And I think if you are a car enthusiast, you should probably learn to appreciate the sound of a 4 or 6-cylinder engine. You can make it sound good. You just invest in the right exhaust system. Or maybe you just, get the fuck over it and rub some sand in it. I don't feel too bad for people who cry about V8s. If you want performance cars, you will have to pay for it. Just like any type of engineered product in life. So I for one find the sound of a Bugatti W16 engine with 4 turbos on it a lot more interesting than a fucking V8. I'd rather listen to the howling scream of high revving V8, V10, and V12 engines from a Formula One car, or God forbid, the demonic cry of a 4-rotor engine in a Mazda 787B, or the boyish, energetic rip of a twin-charged, supercharger and turbocharger, 4-cylinder engine in a rally car. The V8 is the most overplayed shit ever, in my opinion. What is so cool about a V8? I don't understand anymore. So, well, AVC, well, you're a cyclist. You don't own a car. You don't know shit about cars. Well, clearly I do, and I probably know more about it than you do. If I were to get a new truck, a pickup truck, or SUV, firstly, I probably wouldn't even have an option by the time that I have enough of an aneurysm to spend that much money on something so frivolous. It'd probably just be I'd have a choice between, I know Ford's current lineup especially in the U.S. market, the new Bronco has a twin turbo V6 or a single turbo 2.3 liter inline four, the EcoBoost option either way. Yeah, I mean, look, race cars use, well, yeah, except for NASCAR or whatever the fuck, or maybe that might be changing soon. I don't know. I don't keep up with American motorsports. Race cars use lighter engines with turbos on them for a reason. Is because, firstly, I guess as they're on the starting line, they can step on the gas and spool up their turbos, and then once the light goes from red, yellow to green, then their turbos are spooled up. It's already producing boost into the engine, and it's ready to go. They do that for a reason. Light and fast is how you win a race. Light and fast is also kind of the mainstays of fuel efficiency. So even for a non-racing motorist, car owner, that's another consideration to have. You get more room to work on the engine. That's why the new Bronco is kind of somewhat appealing. These are all things that you need to consider as a prospective car buyer. So I don't want to fucking hear about you whining about the V8 going away. I won't personally be affected, and I never cared for anything about the engine. If anything, on my past vehicles, I think I've only tolerated it. I'm not a fan of the system. If I need a larger truck that does towing, and if I have the money to spend on a V8 gas pickup truck, I might as well spend that on a inline diesel engine. So that's just, inline master race. I guess we can start a fight about it in my Discord server. Fuck your V8. I don't give a shit. Anyway, so technical nerding aside, that's all I have lined up for today's show. Sorry that I am sloppy as always. I didn't give any of my closest fans or regular co-hosts any notice, but stay in touch with me on Discord. I will do my best and probably disappoint you anyway, so be prepared for that. And that's no sponsors, nothing new. I'll go check out Alcoholic Gaming. He hasn't done much on his channel recently, but I mean, go check him out. I like him. Cool guy. Anyway, that's all I got. So thanks for tuning in, and I will go bother you next week. Bye-bye.